Alec, welcome to our Shang-Chi review. Right?
Shang-Chi
That's how you
or
pronounce it.
Shang-Chi?
Was it
Shang
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi? Very, very particular way to pronounce it.
Apparently, I
But
don't
for
know.
for the
Where
layperson, I guess it's Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi and the
Yeah,
Legend of the Ten Rings.
and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Yeah.
Yes. So, this is the newest Marvel film. This is also a Marvel film that's been in production off and on for like a really long time. They've been trying to make a movie of this character since like 2000 or something like that. It's actually been semi in development or in the works, I guess, in some form or another for that long. And in the earliest sort of slate of Marvel heroes and characters that they wanted to do when the MCU was first sort of started, Shang-Chi was in the first 10. It was like 10 ideas and concepts. So this has been kind of in the works, an idea for quite a while since the first Iron Man. So,
Yeah, I knew
but
nothing about it. I knew nothing about
yeah,
it before this movie, so.
yeah, I don't think people typically don't think of Shang-Chi as one of the like the Marvel characters you think about. You think of like X-Men, or you think of Spider-Man, or you think of any of the MCU characters now, or Captain America, um,
And all
or
things
heroes
considered,
such as
it
that.
didn't
And
feel like much of a Marvel movie to me. It felt very different.
that was actually, yeah, I agree. That was actually one of the things that stood out to me the most about this, and why I really, really enjoyed this film quite a lot. It, despite the fact that it was having had these little nods and references to the Marvel films past, um, it did feel very distinctly separated, which I think makes it great for newcomers or people who aren't like super invested into the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I really liked it a lot. I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought it was great personally, like a legitimately great
Yeah.
film.
I was all
So
for it. I was all for it. I thought the dynamic was really cool between Shang-Chi and Katie. That was fun.
yeah, I
Uh
think I think Simu Liu is a star. I think
huh.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's been in very little. He's been kind of like side characters in certain TV shows. He's been with Awkwafina on different projects, which I think is what sort of which I think one of the things, because Awkwafina, what I was reading, Awkwafina was cast in this movie before the lead, and I think it was probably their chemistry is sort of what led to them leading to cast him.
Mm.
He's amazing. He should be a star. Like he's so great in this film, and I think he's
Yeah.
got a good career ahead of him. I think so.
I love all the action scenes in this. It's a lot of fun.
The action was awesome. Love all the martial arts in this film. It was great.
And the fact that we went on like
The,
full on magical, like it's like almost like a magical world we entered. It was like this. Yeah, that's when I was really like, wow, this is a Marvel movie. This doesn't feel like that at all.
yeah,
It feels like its own thing, you know.
yeah. So, but the villain was also great. Wenwu is a spectacular character, and I really liked uh, a lot of the stuff going on in the plot with him. I thought it was all really good
Mm.
and satisfying. Um, the acting was great, action was awesome, and I really enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you can say about it. But so let's now dive into spoilers. This would be a film I would highly recommend. Definitely go see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no reason. If you've got Marvel fatigue, this is very different from the other Marvel films. I think it's worth a watch.
Mm. Yeah.
To you know, so yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so.
I didn't know anything about. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's go into spoilers. I didn't know anything
Yeah,
about Shang-Chi's character at all, so it was kind of like when he started fighting in that bus randomly.
yeah,
I was almost like, what is this happening? Like involuntarily, like he's just like awoken some fighting ability he didn't know he had. But then he's like, no, I just have this whole secret past because like
yeah,
this is his best friend. So
yeah.
but then he had all this stuff that he'd hidden.
They done. I actually like the trickle of information over time.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of learn more and more about him, and like Yeah, so because you first see like, wow, he's a really badass martial arts guy. Like, holy crap. Then he tells her about like, yeah, my father was this guy who's essentially immortal. He's lived for like over 1,000 years, and he taught me to fight, and then basically be an assassin. And then stuff went wrong, and I just never went back because I didn't want to have anything to do with that. But as you find more and more information, which again, I think the past sequences all work super well in terms of like providing you new information and sort of giving you the idea of like what sort of state of mind that Shang-Chi is in, or Sean as he goes
Mm-hmm.
by. That does turn out, no, actually he did fulfill is what his father wanted him to do. He did kill the guy to fulfill the blood debt, as he was sort of uh, taught to sort of believe. And that to me, I really liked that whole idea that our character was kind of headed down a dark path even towards the very end of the film, where he's like, no, I got to do it. I got to finish this. I got to kill my father, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. Yeah, there's just a lot of really great character stuff in this film. So what did you think about Awkwafina in this movie, by the way?
Awkwafina, like at first, I was really it didn't work for me too much, like her character, but
Mm-hmm.
I kind of it grew on me, and I appreciated it more, and then I grew to like what she added to it. In the beginning, it was like a little jarring for me,
Yeah,
but I was on board. Eventually, it was like, okay, this is a fun dynamic.
I think the thing that I really liked about it was hearing that she was in this movie. I was not expecting her to be like the somewhat love interest of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not
Somewhat,
really
yeah,
her. Yeah, I wouldn't say it goes like full blown. It's just not like full blown romantic. There's some like undertones that they
yeah.
kind of care about each other in that way, but it's like in terms of when you think Aquafina, you think, oh, she's a comedic role, and she is. She's funny and kind of wacky and like in terms of some of the stuff she says and does in the film. But I I didn't feel like her role in this felt very like again sort of maybe against typecasting, which I thought worked super well for the film as a whole. And I thought she was great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was great in this film.
Yeah, she's almost like a little offbeat to like where you would think usually would be in that role.
Yeah,
Is like, yeah, the almost love interest, but the fact that it wasn't full on like love interest, it was like this friendship leaning into that thing. It really
yeah,
worked well with her character specifically. I think that's like,
yeah,
especially with the way she played the character. I don't think it would have worked with like a
right,
full on romantic like story thread. This like being a really close good friend is it was a
yeah.
fun thing.
Actually, I agree. I think it worked really well. I felt super like speaking to like kind of me personally. And just in terms of like millennials just dealing with life, paying rent,
Mm.
like just growing up pretty much now, like having to. It almost feels like I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life. Like that's kind of the whole idea of their character arcs is just like
But
we're
like
kind of in this weird
but
rut
like
in
she
our
seems
lives.
happy like with
she's
it.
she's happy enough with it. Her with her family's prodding. They're like, no, you need to do more than that. But she's seemingly like okay with just living in terms of what how she's
Mm-hmm.
fitting in. It seems to at least be working for now. But
Yeah.
that just feels like that's like what my generation does. Like that all my friends are like we feel like we're all kind of in that sort of weird sort of we maybe haven't quite haven't quite entered that like getting married and having kids or pursuing what we see as our actual career. Either of those paths, like none of that's really sort of come into fruition. That feels like super relatable, but it's not in a way that felt like pandering. I feel like a lot of the films that have this sort of it's millennials, it just feels like how do you do, fellow kids, is sort of how a lot of it feels. But this felt like really like it came at our level and wasn't like we get you. It was like, no, we get you.
Well, I definitely relate to that idea, but I couldn't
Yeah.
relate to like how happy they seem to be. Like they just
But
like loved the job. I'm like, okay, well,
I
you do
don't I
you.
don't
I admire
didn't
that, but
I didn't really buy that. I didn't really necessarily buy that they actually felt that. To me that was sort of their putting on a front about
I don't know.
actually liking it. So
I don't know, but she always gave the, especially Katie, always gave the impression that she's like, I don't have anything to prove. Especially like when she's talking to that couple and their little dinner they were having, and they were being, you know, slightly judgmental in the way they were talking. She seemed like she was like, no, I'm fine where I'm at. Like this is just what I'm doing with my life. I'm just living life. I'm having fun in the moment. That's just the impression I got from it.
right, but the overall tone, right, her whole character arc is her actually coming to accept that there is more to life than there's more to the world than just what her sort of
Well,
small little
yeah,
what her what she's just enjoying
but
in
it
the
was
moment.
almost like a fish out of water kind of thing because it was like so big. You know, it was like
Well,
I'm just
but
straight into the magical
right,
world.
but I think that's where the both of them sort of as their friendship kind of balances it out to sort of that kind of their friendship in despite the fact that all of this huge whatever is kind of the important part of yes the world is bigger um but as long as you get your bros, as long as you have your friends, and maybe pseudo semi romantic, we don't know. We'll see where that goes in the future, I suppose.
They did
Um,
the jovial little take my arm thing at the end.
yeah, it was cute. It was very cute.
So we'll
Uh,
see where that goes in the future
right,
films, right? Like what
right.
direction they take that in specifically.
So the villain was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was great. Um, I was kind of worried for a while that like, oh, he's just pretending that their mother is alive just so he can go make an excuse and open the door and like takes the power that's out of there. But it actually turned out that no, he was being tricked the whole time.
He's just misguided.
I
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was great. Because it felt very like it felt very like an old legend, right? The people seeking power because they've been
Mm-hmm.
lied to or they're promised something that because of the things that they've chosen to do in life that makes them more susceptible to persuasion from darker influences. That's a very Eastern myth kind of thing.
Yeah. But I
Um,
really like what Shang-Chi said though, where he was like, "What makes you think she would even want anything to do with you, though?" It was
right,
like,
that was super like
because you're
yeah,
just so far, you lost yourself so much. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, you're literally like you're fighting your children right now, and
Mm,
so yeah, she wouldn't want anything to do with you.
mm-mm,
Yeah,
mm-mm. And I thought it was
but
great because in the end he ultimately accepts the fact that he should pay ultimately for that by dying.
yeah,
He dies, and yeah, it was great. I thought he was excellent. He had so much chemistry between him and basically the whole rest of the cast was great. Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say other than the fact that he was written super well and he's just very charismatic. I bought
yeah,
him as a villain. So
yeah. Like that's all you need for a villain is you need some like clear motivations that make sense, and he's
mhm.
not being villainy just for the sake of being villainy. Like he actually, and in his heart, he's like doing the right thing. It's
Mm,
just like that's what's so cool about that story, where it's like you're misguided and you're just falling off the path. Not that he ever was really. I mean, he was always into this bad stuff. He wasn't
mm.
always the most wholesome person, but he's strayed even further. Uh,
Yeah, well, I like the idea that so it's like
and he did
the
get her killed. He did get his wife killed because of
he
his
did. It
business.
was the past coming back to haunt him. Like again, that's a very myth. It feels very mythological in a way. Um, I did like the idea that I guess maybe it is sort of cliche, but the woman taming the man the idea of a man's aggression and the warlike tendencies being sort of tempered
Right.
by the fairer sex. He finally accepts maybe there's more to life than just gaining power, but raising a family. Like transforms him until that's taken away from him, in which he loses sight of that again.
Even though,
Um,
yeah, he thought he was seeing clearly now that
yeah,
he's hearing her voice, but they're
yeah.
Shang-Chi and Katie and his sister are like all like, yeah, no,
His sister was great too. I don't remember her name
yeah,
off the top of my head. Let me just look that up. Shelling, Shu Shelling. So Shelling because Shu is their last name. So
hmm.
um, there's no pronunciation guide. How dare you? I'm sorry. I'm not perfect with my Chinese pronunciations. But yeah, I thought she was great too. Her sort of chemistry with Shang-Chi, very estranged, strained relationship because of he promised, oh, I'll be back, and then it was like he never came back, so he left her to be the tool of her father,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
But then
which
he would never
left
let
her
her into like his
yeah the training with the men pretty much
yeah.
yeah.
So then she set up her own fighting ring.
Where we have uh, Benedict Wong, whose character's name is Wong, and
Yeah.
he is fighting the Abomination, which that's a cameo from the Incredible Hulk movie.
Uh-huh.
Abomination's design has changed, but that was Abomination, who was like the bad guy, I think, in that movie. So that's kind of interesting.
I've completely forgotten that movie. Like,
Everyone has.
it
It is technically an
is
MCU film.
MCU movie. Yeah.
um,
That was that was pretty cool. That was a pretty
yeah,
cool area. And then the whole
but
fight outside the building, like on the side of the building,
oh
was
yeah, that was
awesome.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, the fact that Katie was dangling out there, I'm like, you're so dead, so dead.
yeah. She's like you're super
But,
dead.
like
Yeah,
even the fact that I imagine myself just falling when he told her to like just cross over here, like
just
if she had
like
to cross
that's
over by herself. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm dead here.
Like if that were you, you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna die doing this.
Yeah, like you literally
Yeah,
took me into this whole other side of your life I knew nothing about. Like,
yeah.
not ready for this.
And she apparently bet against him too. That's rough. That's,
But I just love
but
the choreography and the fighting and all this in the whole movie is really good.
yeah, a
My
lot of
favorite
the
part of it.
yeah. I mean, there's obviously a decent amount of special effects and stunt work, but Simu Liu knows like a bunch of different martial arts himself, and
Hmm.
he shows off very well that he knows what he's doing in this movie, and it was great. Just all the different fight scenes, as you said, the one on the train
Yeah,
or bus. I guess it was a bus.
it was a
Um,
bus, and then
yeah,
the whole driving sequence after that was
that whole,
chaos.
yeah,
They were just
yeah. It was
destroyed. There's so much stuff was
just,
getting destroyed in that city.
there was that. I think some of the fighting scenes in the towards the end were awesome. Obviously, a lot of those very final ones use a lot of special
Yeah.
effects because of the twin dragons fighting thing was pretty awesome. Like the evil dragon versus the protector
Yeah, and there's the
dragon was
whole
very cool.
little creature that doesn't have a face.
Oh yeah, what was it? What was he called again? What did he call
Uh,
him? Like Bertrand? I don't remember what. Okay, so one of the major ties into the rest of the MCU, other than sort of little cameos, and then of course the end,
mm-hmm.
was the character who showed back up again from Iron Man 3, that being Trevor.
Yeah,
Um, had you seen Iron Man 3 beforehand?
I have. I completely
Yeah,
forgot all this. So,
you kind of forget about that.
yeah, I didn't
Um,
know. Like, when my brother was telling me that was like who it was. I couldn't
mhm.
really. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to remember that.
Yeah, so in Iron Man 3, so actually Iron Man 1 had the 10 rings as a villainous organization
Hmm.
already. So the 10 rings has been set up as far back as Iron Man 1. Um, that's only now just sort of come into fruition. So in Iron Man 3, the Mandarin was supposed to be like this world shattering villain, because the Mandarin in the comics is like Iron Man's big nemesis, I guess. But Iron Man 3, it ended up kind of flipping that on its head, where the Mandarin was actually just a threat, sort of a character played by this actor, this very foppish, odd, like drugged out sort of guy played by Ben Kingsley. And it was great. he was kind of great, and a lot of fans hated that. They were like, we wanted the Mandarin in this. I think Iron Man 3 is the best of the three Iron Man films. Don't at me.
Wow.
But that movie is great for a lot of different reasons, besides the fact that of that twist. I don't really care. That twist was a plot device. That's not really the point of the movie to me, so I didn't really mind that. I did like the fact that they made reference to it again in this film, or by bringing it back into the fold, sort of redeeming that movie. I think I would hope in a lot of fans' minds. I hope it kind of does, because Wenwu is actually the Mandarin. He's just never called that. He's been called apparently many other names throughout history because he lived for so long. Yeah, I like the fact that he came back and was like funny, but also sort of useful in a way. So that was good. Good stuff. I like the little nods to the past.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I actually was reading that the budget on this film was a lot less than a lot of other Marvel properties, and I couldn't tell. I thought this movie looked fantastic. I think there was maybe like one shot where I was like, oof, that looks pretty shufty, but which is like, it was pretty early on in the movie where there was I think it was like the time where Wenwu got kicked out of the woods, and that sort of shows this overhead shot down to the forest below. And I thought the forest below looked like a PS3 texture. It didn't look very good, but the rest of the film I thought looked great. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And they had the whole chase sequence, or not chase sequence, but the sequence where they went through the maze and the car. That was pretty wild. That's where it really went. I was like, okay, this is a whole other beast we're getting into here. Yeah,
so they entered like a basically different dimension, like a magical sort of spirit dimension, kind of, that that people had been sort of safeguarding. The villagers of this small little place had been sort of safeguarding and blessed to protect it and make use of the magical powers therein.
That's cool. I mean, I always like these kind of little villages like that. They're always fun.
Good balance also, just in terms of structure. I thought there was a very good balance between action scenes and like exposition, where I never felt that there was like too much of one thing at a given time. So I thought the overall flow of the film was very good.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I went in with zero expectations. Didn't heard any reception from it at all, and I had no idea anything about the character, so I was delightfully surprised. It was a completely different Marvel, because I wasn't necessarily in the Marvel mood. And with a lot of these Marvel things, like, I don't know if we weren't reviewing them consistently, if I would have I might have fallen off the wagon at some point, because I did that in the past, like a couple of years ago, where I would just fell off of and missed a bunch of Marvel movies because it was like, I don't know, it's another superhero one. But this one is it's a refreshing change of pace, so
yeah,
I'm glad to watched it.
Yeah, I really liked it a lot. Oh, the music was also phenomenal in this film too. Definitely one I'm going to be picking up the score for. It was very good music. So also the hard cuts to them karaoke singing Hotel California was hysterical.
Yeah, and they got Wong in on it.
Yeah, that's right. The trajectory of your lives is taking a completely different course. So go home, get some rest. Yeah, we should probably do that. Or very, very funny. So
this gets an 8.5 for me.
All right, I'm giving it a 9. I loved this film. I thought it was excellent. I really, it's maybe falls in with the whole like Marvel origin, but I thought it did enough to sort of set itself apart where it didn't even feel like that like that significant of an origin story. I'm just looking forward to seeing the 10 Rings in action more, like the actual 10 Rings as well as the organization. Yeah. But I just want to see more of those. Those things are very cool. Like as just like a power, using them as like platforms. I think in the comics, each ring has a different power too. I don't know if they're going to go into that.
And what is
that would be
what is Katie's
ridiculous.
Role to play
in the future?
Yeah, like why did he say that she needed to come too?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she's.
That seems bizarre. It's like you need a buddy. Here's your +1 too.
Yeah, you have your +1. That's like, yeah, I don't know. That would be like
he had.
That's like Doctor Strange's other doctor lady played by what is it, Rachel, whatever her name.
Right.
It's like having her like, oh, you got to come with now, and it's like.
It's like.
I don't know.
But he
I don't
said
know
it
why
as
that was.
if she was destined for like she needed to be part of it too.
She fired the arrow. She fired the arrow and like saved them.
She did
pretty much.
Do that.
She did. Yeah.
But yeah, we need her. We need her to come.
That's right.
You guys have a thing going. You got to come.
That's right.
Can't end here.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Tarqaron score 8.75.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I loved it. So
I'd recommend it. I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, me too. What video would you recommend our fine viewers go check out after this?
You're gonna want to watch a review of Raya and the Last Dragon
with Awkwafina.
There
you go.
Sisu. Awkwafina, what a distinct voice she has.
You'd recognize it anywhere. She does have a very distinct voice.
What a beautiful voice.
I mean, she's pretty too. That doesn't hurt.
But yeah, Raya, it's like another very fantastical feel. It's not something I would have expected from a Marvel movie when we got into Shang-Chi. So we would go into that like spirit world stuff.
It's very cool. And everyone was like, "Oh, there's Pokemon in this movie." It's like, yeah. What do you think?
It did look like it kind of like.
What were the Pokemon? Yeah, the Ninetales.
Yeah, well, that was Ninetales. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Vulpix and Ninetales. There you go.
So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to our podcast feed. Like the video. Leave a comment. Hit the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like us on Facebook. Tarqaron TWO.
Yeah.
All right.